Hi, so what I'm trying to do with this video is just give you a brief overview of how I approach a session. This is a mixed session for a friend of mine, and you can see that at first I start going through and notching out some frequencies in the tracks. I generally start with a bit of a structure and try and start with the drums and the vocals and go through, and then as the session progresses you'll find I adopt much of a looser structure, just sort of picking up things that I hear and listening to the track a lot. And yeah. So you can see here I'm just trying out a few different compressors. If something doesn't work, you've just got to change it around. Here I'm putting a bass plug-in because the bass you gave me for this session was in fact a MIDI bass and it sounded quite dead, so I thought I'd try an amp plug-in on it and give it a bit more life. You can see here I'm just applying some filters to some things as well as effects. So here you can see I'm soloing the drums. I find sometimes that's a good place to start, but as the session goes on, I try to solo things less and really listen and mix the track from the perspective of the whole track and what works in the whole, as opposed to getting things to sound really good in solo and then in the track it might just be really muddy and unclear. So I do a lot of filtering and scooping out of certain frequencies just to create space for the rest of the tracks, like the vocals in particular. So you may solo an individual element and it might sound quite flimsy, or it might, an acoustic guitar might not sound full-bodied and rich, but it'll work in the song and it will leave space for all the other elements, which is important when mixing. So yeah, as it goes on, I might solo things if I can hear a frequency I don't like, but as a general approach to the session, I try and listen to it as a whole as much as I can and work in that way. So I think when mixing as well, it's very important that you and the artist are on the same page of what sort of mix and what sort of direction the song's going to go in. If they want a pop feel or if they want something a bit more sort of retro sounding or whatever it may be, it's important that the mixer and the artist are on the same page. So what I'll try and do is either, send bounces of my session to the artist throughout the process, or in fact get them in for a mix session where they can sort of give me some direction on exactly what they're going for. So yeah, this has just been a brief little overview of the way I try and approach a session, and hopefully it gave you some insight to the way I work.